Hi everyone, Cindy Squirrel here from Squirrel Mills Farms. Today I want tea biscuits, and I have been going through every recipe I can think of. I have tried them, and I've tried this one and I've tried that one, and some of them are dry, some of them are good when they're warm, and the next day you got friggin' hockey pucks, right? So I got down all my antiques and I looked at the back of them. Here's my magic baking powder tin. Has a cake recipe on it, and of course a tea biscuit recipe on it. A smaller tin, still full. Calumet. Never even really heard of this company before. Calumet. Rose. Now that's a popular brand, Rose. Was back in the day. And this is Dally's baking powder. So they all have a different recipe on the back of them. Except Rose, they didn't give me one, or Calumet. They give me a nice cake recipe I might have to try. But they all have something different. Some are 4 teaspoons of baking powder. 2 of them have 4 teaspoons of baking powder in them. One only has half a teaspoon. Okay. Some have a 1/4 cup of shortening. One only has 2 tablespoons. That's half of a 1/4 cup, because there's 4 tablespoons in a 1/4 cup. So just racking my brains trying to figure out which one do I want. Baking powder tea biscuits. I want a nice rise. Might need more baking powder. I don't want one with an egg in it. That's more like a scone. And I do have one of my recipes that has an egg in it. And it has 4 teaspoons of baking powder, not 4 tablespoons. Some are teaspoons, some are tablespoons, some have egg. They all have milk or buttermilk. But I want a good one. I want a good rise, I want a good flavor, and I want it 3 days from now to still pull apart and be nice and soft. So, guess what? Baking powder, you're gone. I'm gonna go with my recipe, which is an 1800s, out of an 1800s cookbook. And it's got baking soda in it, no baking powder. I think, well, it says 3/4 of a cup of lard. So what was the average? About 1/4. So it's got 3 times as much lard in it. So that means it's gonna be nice and moist. The drier it is, the least amount of fat it has in it. And now your fat, like I'm a lard person, but if it's butter, if it's shortening, that's all classes of fat. And fat is what makes something moist. If you're baking a cake, it's your oil that makes it moist. So I'm gonna try this tea biscuit recipe from the 1800s. Sorry, did I say 1900s? 1800s cookbook. And I have wrote down on it that they are great. So let's give that a try. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do with this recipe, the 1800s tea biscuit recipe with baking soda, not baking powder, is we need 2 cups of sour milk. Now I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of lemon juice in there, and because I didn't put the lemon juice on the bottom and then pour the milk, it wouldn't have got stirred up. So just give it a quick stir there. Set it off to one side. Okay, so now we have 4.5 cups of flour. And to that we're going to add just 1 teaspoon of baking soda, which is surprising compared to what all the other recipes said, but that's what we're going to do. So 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And again, you're going to mix that all up. Because you want the baking soda all in the flour. You don't want to get just a mouthful of baking soda. Done that. You've been there. Not good. Now today I'm using a bowl. I'm not using my stand mixer. I'm going to try it. It's been a long time since I did it this way, but not everybody has a stand mixer. And don't go out and buy a whatever that costs. I don't know what it costs. I probably bought it for me. Just do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, so now we need 3/4 of a cup of lard. Cold, just out of the fridge. And we are going to measure 3/4 of a cup. That's quite a bit of lard. Just cut that up into little pieces. Now throw that into your flour. Try not to get it all in the same spot. Okay. Give my hands a little quick wipe here. Now we're going to do this the old-fashioned way, and you might not even have one of these pastry blender. Of course, this is an antique. If you're in my house, everything's an antique, and you just go down like that, and it just cuts it up nicely. But if you don't have one of these, you know, you can work away with 1 knife, 2 knives, and just make the little pieces, make it into smaller, like that. And I'm going to use the pastry blender, it's called, because it's blending it in to the flour. This way there's no heat involved. Your lard is not melting at all. It's going to be all beautiful little pieces of lard, and that's what's going to pop when it hits the heat and make your beautiful pastry fluff up. And just keep doing this until there's no big hunks. Just little pieces, size of a normal person's baby finger nail, excluding the length there. Pretty simple so far, and I love this with just as a snack. tea biscuit with a bit of butter on it. If you're making a stew, or if you're having a homemade soup. I love it when they're still warm, with a little bit of butter, maybe some peanut butter. Peanut butter seems to be my thing now. It was jam. It's funny how you go up and down on your likes. Now that didn't take very long at all. Last piece that I just knocked off there. Run your knife through. Make sure there's no great big hunks. We're good to go. That was pretty easy. Okay, so this my milk should have had time to sour a little bit. I'm just going to dump that in. I'm not going to dump it all in, just in case. Don't want it to be too wet. Because if it's too wet and I add more flour, then it's going to be drier because you're not adding any more lard. So one thing that I've learned doing these videos is to use utensils that don't make a noise. A little aggravating listening to them when I'm stirring that pot and it's metal on metal. This looks like it might have been enough milk. So I've got about 1/8 of a cup of milk left. That's no biggie. Dog will eat that. She will love that. So now we're just going to flour the board. Everything out of my way here. Okay, so now we've put it out onto a floured working surface, and don't knead it any more than 10 times. You're only going to knead it until it sticks together and you can roll it. Okay, because we don't want to melt all that lard. Now, how thick do you want your tea biscuits? Me, I'm probably going to make them a meal. I'm just going to have a little bowl of soup and a tea biscuit. But if I had little kids and I was having a stew or something, I'd use one of my little antique ones, the next size up. Aren't they the cutest little things? If you want a nice design in your tea biscuit, or a bigger one with the fluted edge, or this big sucker. This is an antique, quite deep. It's got to be at least 1 inch, eh? And that one's 1.5 inches. That one's 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. Or you don't have a cookie cutter. You don't have anything. Do you have a jar lid? Or do you have a glass? Just a glass. But you go to all that work to make these tea biscuits. And a tea biscuit, you want to separate. You want to see the layers. And you want it to pop. It's going to rise up. So I see so many people on YouTube videos, I wish I could reach in and slap them, that go down like that and then you see them twist like that. Oh, don't do that. Because what you've just done is you've sealed the edge. Okay? See how it's sealed? It's not a beautiful cut edge anymore. You've just wrecked your tea biscuit, the whole purpose of your tea biscuit. So you're going to go down, you're going to go up. Straight down, straight up. Straight down, straight up. And that's all you're going to do. Now just pull those away. Just carefully take off any loose ends or uncut pieces. This recipe probably makes a lot more than what I just made. But because they're so darn big, that's probably 3 tea biscuits, each one of those. Okay, now you could make different sizes with that piece, but then in the oven, they're going to cook at different times. Your smaller ones are going to be cooked, and your bigger ones aren't going to be, and they're going to be raw in the middle. So try and keep them all the same. Decide which one you want, keep them all the same size, or put them on different cookie sheets and in the oven at different times. Again, just put it together until it sticks together. I'm really not going to get very many tea biscuits out of this, am I? Look at that. These are going to be, and what did I just do? I just did that, didn't I? What is that saying? Do as I say, not as I do. Did it again. Someone slapped me. Okay, so this one won't be cut, and you'll see the difference in it. Okay, so they're going to go into, I've got the oven on at 450 degrees. Now, normally, they would take 10 to 12 minutes. These are jumbo size, so they might take a little bit longer. Let me know how long. And this is what I love my bench knife. So great for cleaning up. Just look at that. Because you don't want to add water. Then you just got one gooey mess. Scrape it off the side into your hand. Look at that. Okay, so a little bit might have went on the floor. That's what vacuums are for. Or Daisy. Now, because I made them so big, I wasn't even thinking. I should have turned down the heat because my oven is quite warm. I told you 450 for 12 minutes. They took an extra 9 minutes. So in that 9 minutes, they really browned up. They're not burnt. See, they're not burnt. But if you wanted them blonder looking, lower the temperature to say 425 or 400, and then up the baking time. But if you're gonna make them a normal size tea biscuit, 450, 12 minutes. And the ingredients were 2 cups of sour milk, 1 teaspoon baking soda, a pinch of salt, 4.5 cups flour, and 3/4 cup of lard. Now just look at this. Look at those layers. That's what you want. Now where's that round one? See that? No layers. This is one that I gave a little twist to. It's got a bit of layers, but nothing like that one. Look at how much it raised up compared to the other one. Just beautiful. Now, I don't know if I don't even need a knife, right? You just, and then open it up. Look at the layers. Beautiful, soft layers. Go away, steam, so you can see it in the picture. Beautiful layers that you can just, and that's what you want in a tea biscuit. Perfection. Love it. I'm gonna have a tea biscuit. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please press the subscribe button. Doesn't cost anything to subscribe. It just means that you'll get a little bell down in the bottom saying that I posted another video, and it helps me out. The more subscribers I get, the better for me. Till we see each other again, this is Cindy Squirrel from Squirrel Mills Farms. Bye.